Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to talk to you today about match day, or match results. Every year, match happens in March across the country for all medical schools. This is the pinnacle of a medical student's education. Medical school obviously is 4 years long, and during their last year of medical school, they determine what kind of doctor they want to be, and then they go out and apply through our match process. Match is an exciting day for everyone, and I'm really happy to convey how our students did this year. So this is the class of 2017. So some statistics. We had 92 fourth-year students enter the match, 90 matched. So that's a match rate of 97.8%. And I can tell you right now that those other two, we helped match in the subsequent weeks. So in the end, everyone matched. And this beat the national average of 94.3%. Something I'm very proud in saying is we've always beat the national average. So what specials did they match in? And I think this is fun to talk about because sometimes when medical students start, they don't have a firm idea about what options there are, what kind of doctors there are. So let's break it down. Anesthesiology, really popular this year. 11 students matched. So basically, anesthesiologists, they're the ones in the operating rooms that put you under anesthesia so the surgeons can perform their operations. I like to tease that anesthesiologists, it's 99% boredom, 1% sheer terror, all right? So, anesthesiologists are great in doing procedures. They know their medications quite well. And as you can see, a wide variety of places. Brigham and Women's, Harvard, out in Boston, Baylor and White, down in Temple, Texas, Dartmouth, Johnny Hopkins, Mayo, Penn State, Stanford, Iowa, Minnesota, here at the U, UCLA, some really outstanding programs in anesthesiology. Dermatology. These are the physicians that are in charge of looking at your skin. Now, they do more than just looking at zits and pimples. They're also in charge of melanomas and skin cancers as well, so this is incredibly important. We had 3 students match in dermatology over at Emory down in Atlanta and both Mayo clinics. Mayo has actually different medical campuses throughout the country. So there's one in Arizona and one in Florida. Emergency medicine. Those of you who remember the film series ER with George Clooney, this is ER. Basically, when something happens, you need to be treated emergently. You go to the ER and they take care of you. 6 students matched in ER, Michigan, Indiana, California, Arizona, Texas, and out in Missouri. Family and preventive medicine. This is considered a primary care specialty. This is where you see your physician, and they call it womb to tomb. So they see babies, they see teenagers, they see adults, they see geriatric patients, and they form a really close connection with their patients. So they talk about the lifespan. So again, really popular here. We have many residency programs in Utah that are focused on family medicine. So 2 of our students matched up in McKay-Dee in Ogden, up in Montana, out in Oregon, California, here in Salt Lake City. Both St. Mark's, which is Utah Healthcare Institute, as well as our own University of Utah hospitals, Provo again, and then out in California. Internal medicine. So when you think of internal medicine, this is fields that eventually lead to things like cardiology, nephrology, gastroenterology, and doing internal medicine residency is the first step. Again, they focus on adult diseases. So 13 students matched, again, wide variety, California, Minnesota, Ohio, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, here in Salt Lake City, University of Washington, and Wake Forest. Very popular with 13 students matching. Neurosurgery, a brain surgeon. Very intense surgeries, very long in my experience. I remember as a medical student, I rotated on a neurosurgery rotation. These surgeries can be many, many hours because the brain's pretty complex. And one of our students wanted to do neurosurgery and he matched out at Stanford. Neurology. Okay, so this is kind of like neurosurgery, but they don't do the surgery part. So any patients that may have seizures or some type of walking disorder or movement disorder, they would be seen by a neurologist. 3 students matched in neurology out at Rush, Rochester, and again here at University of Utah. OBGYN, pretty obvious. They help deliver babies. They take care of women's health issues. So this is really popular this year. 7 students, again, Northwestern, Oregon. 2 of our students were out in Oregon, here in Salt Lake City, out of Wake Forest, and 2 of our students went out to Georgetown, Washington Hospital Center. Ophthalmology, the eyes, really important, very fascinating. Again, I did a rotation ophthalmology during med school, and they have the neatest, cutest tools. They're so small, and their surgeries are so precise. So 2 of our students matched in ophthalmology, one here at University of Utah and one out in Iowa. Orthopedics. So again, thinking of sports, whenever an athlete falls down, breaks their arm, hurts their leg, they're seen by an orthopedic surgeon. They don't always decide to do surgery. Sometimes they just need to do rehab, physical therapy. So 2 students matched in orthopedics, one in Geisinger out in Pennsylvania, and again, another one out in Missouri. Pathology. Okay, so pathology. Think CSI. Think of all the TV shows where they get a sample of tissue or they get some blood out the crime scene and they take it back to the lab and they do all these magic tricks and they figure out, who the killer is. That's pathology. So 2 students matched in pathology, one out in New Mexico and one out in Chicago. Pediatrics, working with children. We have a lot of kids here in Utah. It's not a huge secret. Pediatrics tends to be very popular because of their rotations on primary children's. So 9 students matched in pediatrics, some really great programs, Northwestern, St. Vincent out in Indiana, again, Stanford, University of Arizona, New Mexico, and 4 of our students here at the University of Utah. Triple board. All right, this is a really cool program. Not too many people know about it. So triple board means you are triple boarded at the end of your residency. This is 5 years long in 3 different fields: pediatrics, adult psychiatry, and child psychiatry. I like to call them the Marines. They can jump out of planes, jump out of boats, and do all these kind of cool activities. So we have a program here in Utah, obviously. One of our students matched here in Utah, and there's another program out in Kentucky. There's about 9 to 10 programs across the country. Again, this goes back to our strength of having pediatrics and child psychiatry here at Utah. Okay, physical medicine and rehab. I call this kind of the hidden gem of medical school. Not too many medical students know about this field. So, for an example, if someone is in a car crash and they get taken to the hospital, they're seen in the ER by an ER physician. The ER physician may treat them, but determine, hey, this patient needs surgery. So they call the surgery team to come down and examine the patient, and they may take that patient up to surgery for whatever surgery that patient needs. And when that patient gets out of surgery, they may need how to learn how to walk again, or how to use their hands in a way to drive a car and things like that. So that obviously takes a lot of time, okay? So after that patient's discharged out of surgery, they may be at the hospital for a few days to make sure they're healing well from the surgery, and then they'll often go to a physical medicine rehabilitation hospital or floor. And these are the physicians that are in charge of that. So when you think of rehab, you think of physical therapists, occupational therapists. These type of therapists work under the purview of a physical medicine rehab doc. We call it PM&R. And not too many people know about it, but it's very, very important, because as you think about it, as these patients regain mobility, regain their ability to walk or use their hands, sometimes they'll need adjustment to their medications, and physical and occupational therapists can't do that. That's why they work with a treatment team member called the PM&R physician. So one student matched in Salt Lake City here and out in San Antonio. Psychiatry. All right, I'm a child psychiatrist. I'm going to talk about this later. Again, pretty self-evident. These physicians are more in charge of mental disorders, illnesses like depression, anxiety, things like that. So 4 of our students matched here in Salt Lake City, and 1 of our students matched out in New Mexico. All right, radiation oncology. Again, not too many people, students know about this. So when someone is diagnosed with cancer, there are many different ways to treat it. There's the surgical way. You can try to cut cancer out. There's the chemical way. That's where you take chemotherapy medications and you try to neutralize or kill the cancer in the body. Another way to treat cancer is use radiation to kill the cancer. So this is kind of an offshoot of radiology, but basically patients, they go in, there's these big, I'm not doing it justice, the right words, these big scanners, these big instruments, and they talk about vectors, and they talk about where the cancer is in the body, and again, they're working with all the treatment team members, and then they kind of hit that spot in the body with radiation. So a lot of this is focused on physics and the ability to kind of pinpoint where cancer is and how best to treat it. So again, 2 students matched, 1 down in Phoenix and 1 out in Kansas. All right, diagnostic radiology. This is when, go to the ER physician says, you might have a broken arm, I'm not sure, sends you to the radiology lab, the x-ray suite, and they take an x-ray, and then the radiologist reads it. They're the ones that say, this is broken or this is not. Incredibly important. As our technology is advanced, there are more and more studies that can be done. So we're talking PET scans, CAT scans, MRIs. These are all read by radiologists. So 4 of our students matched, one out in Connecticut, another in Iowa, one in Minnesota, and one at Los Angeles. General surgery. Okay, so general surgeons are the ones who are kind of in charge of the abdomen in many ways. So appendicitis, if your appendix needs to come out, a general surgeon is the one to do it. Anything to do with the bowel, the colon, the liver, the stomach, all is kind of the purview of a general surgeon. Now, after you do a general surgery residency, you can go on and specialize. And so there's different routes to do that with different parts of the body. But for a lot of surgeons, the first stop is doing a general surgery residency. So 3 people matched in our class, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Missouri. Prelim year. Okay, so these are individuals who are thinking about doing surgery and may actually end up doing surgery, but this is only a year-long program at the beginning. It's kind of a stepping stone. So some general surgery programs look to their prelim programs as kind of feeder, kind of like a entrance. So it's exactly the same set of skills, but it's not as long. All right, general surgery residencies are 5 years. A prelim surgery year is 1 year. So again, Oregon, Arizona, Utah, and Washington. Transitional year. Okay, so this is for students who, either need to make up their minds if they want to go into a certain field, or certain programs require a transitional year at the beginning. A good one is ophthalmology. Ophthalmology is 3 years long, but they require a transitional year at the beginning. So it's actually a 4-year program. So transitional years is kind of like a 3rd or 4th year of med school. You're exposed to many different fields and rotate through, and you're transitioning into a different residency program. So 2 students matched in transitional programs, again, one at Stanford and one out in Tucson. Urology. Okay, so the way to look at it is, urologists, they're kind of the plumbers. There's kind of this joke in medicine that they're the plumbers. They're kind of the ones figuring out, how to get urine out of the body. And so this is a surgical subspecialty, pretty unique, fairly competitive, and one of our students matched here in Salt Lake City. Okay, so match day, it's a wonderful event. Here at the University House School of Medicine, the way it works is the students receive an envelope about where they matched. They receive this on a Friday in March. According to the rules, they cannot open it till 10 a.m., which is noon East Coast time. And all the medical schools abide by this time. So if you're in California, you can't open it till 9 a.m., okay? So it's this big event. So people get together on match day. They bring their friends and families. There's some speeches. There's some talks. All the envelopes are placed on the table. And then there is actually a ribbon, and they cut the ribbon, and the med students rush the table. They open their match envelopes. It's a very emotional, powerful experience because you're essentially learning where you're going to be for the next 3 to 5 to 7 years. There's lots of smiling, lots of laughter, lots of happiness. Occasionally people are frustrated, but that's kind of part of the process. And what this picture shows is that most med schools, and we do this kind of exercise, is after everyone opens up their envelopes, because people are always like, where'd you go? Or I went here. We do this kind of event where people kind of go up to front of everyone, announce where they're going, and then they take a pin and put it on the big map. And then everyone cheers, and yeah, so that's how it's kind of communicated. Okay, so again, we did extremely well. We beat the national average. In the end, we had 100% people match, 20 different specialties, 44% were primary care and defined as internal medicine, peds, family practice, or OBGYN. Our 4th year med students are going out to 29 states and 46 different residency programs. And now we're going to show a YouTube video that captures the match day experience, and I hope you enjoy it.
I'm nervous. I don't know. It didn't really hit me until today to realize that this would really be sort of changing the trajectory of my life, at least for the next 4 years, but maybe for the duration.
It's crazy not knowing where you're going to be in 3 months and where you're going to be for the next 4 years.
Today is, it's the culmination of a lot of hard work and a lot of late nights and sleepless nights and studying and just everything.
This is huge. I'm a first-generation college student. I came from a really small town on a farm, so this is like really momentous and kind of, I think, the culmination of a lot of things.
Welcome to Match Day 2017. I don't know about you, but all of us who work here, I think this is the day we all get sort of goosebumps. It's the most, really is truly the most exciting day of the year, and for the students, I know it could be one of the most exciting days of your lives, which is what makes it so meaningful for us.
Today is like the biggest day for any med student around the U.S. It's where we find out where we're going for residency, and for all of us, all our work in med school is basically working towards getting a residency position so that we can get training to be a doctor. So it is a huge day for us.
So 4 years ago, a somewhat random event, only partially under your control, brought 102 individuals together for an intense educational experience that made the group of you forever after the Utah School of Medicine class of 2017. There's only one of those. There will never be another one.
So we started filling out applications this summer and submitted them in September, and then we started interviewing as soon as kind of October through February, and then submitted our rank lists about 3 weeks ago and have just kind of been waiting. On Monday we found out if we matched, and then we had to wait all week to find out where.
I can see that today you all are filled with a lot of excitement. There's a lot of energy in this room, and soon you will be able to prescribe for both of those conditions. But until then, let me just give you some advice. It's not the residency that makes the physician, it's the physician that makes the residency. There are 47 women and 45 men among the 92 of you. You matched into 46 programs in 20 different specialties. We've got a well-rounded group of people today. 40 of you will be entering primary care residencies in medicine, pediatrics, family medicine, and you'll be going to 29 different states.
Today is it's about the commencement of, my career, essentially. But it's also the end of my schooling, which is kind of a big deal. I'll be getting some more training as a resident. But it's the end of that, and it's also about sort of the culmination of all the support that I've gotten as an undergraduate, as a medical student, as a child from my family. That's kind of brought me to this point right now.
I'm going to Northwestern in Chicago.
I matched here at the University of Utah in internal medicine.
So I matched at Geisinger, which is in Pennsylvania. It's a really, really great program.
Utah. That was the first choice.
I got McKay-D in Ogden, which was my #1 choice for family medicine.
It's basically the accumulation of all 4 years of med school, of all the steps that we've taken and all the rotations that we've done. It's a little sad because we're graduating and we're not going to see our classmates again, but at the same time it's exciting because it's the next chapter.
The U has really provided us with a lot of skills, and we're excited to kind of take that next step and kind of see where our career takes us next. But a lot of people think that this is kind of the biggest day of your professional life in medicine, so it's really exciting.